Hey guys, it's Lan. Bet you didn't think you'd see another one of these videos out of me, eh? Well, it seems that I'm not yet done making a valid case for the split timeline theory I proposed. Now, in this, I'm only going to mention 3 games in particular, the 3 that are the main cause of whether the series is truly split or linear. Now, I'm going to say that from a splitist point of view, this speculation is grounds for more solid fact for the split timeline theory. For a linearist, like Trueedge and PeGeProd, it's simply just speculation on my part. We're always going to have differing opinions on how these issues work, and what I'm about to mention is just my take on how the 3 games of Ocarina of Time, The Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess form the foundations for my thoughts on the split timeline theory. So let's begin with the biggest part of this video, and my reasoning on why Ocarina of Time does split the timeline. First of all, I'm going to give credit to PeGeProd for making the argument against the Ocarina of Time existing on the left fork of a split Hyrule. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you can go see his video. It did show a lot of creativity and reasoning on how, from a linearist point of view, the worlds could be remerged. However, what I'm going to say is based on the in-game evidence involved from the time travel concept as a whole in this game. Now, it's assumed and pretty much confirmed that when Link returns the Master Sword to the pedestal of time, he returns to a state in time right before he pulled the Master Sword. This allows him to use his knowledge of the future, namely the songs he learned from Sheik and other people, the Song of Storms and the Requiem of Spirit, to change certain things in the past and expand his childhood adventures. This allows him to change up the future a little bit by claiming important items in the past, the Lens of Truth and the Silver Gauntlets being the prime examples. Now, as I said, this allows him to take those items with him into the future so he can continue his quest. So, logically, this also means that if he returns to the state he was in right before he pulled the sword, then this also means he retains all of the important items he held before he traveled through time, namely the Ocarina of Time. Think about it for a moment. It is what we do in the past that changes the future, not the other way around. So, it's feasibly impossible for Link to lose the Ocarina of Time in the past unless he gave it away while in the past itself. It shouldn't matter if he handed it to Zelda in their future states. Now, I believe I covered that end of my argument on why I believe that the Ocarina stays with Link in the past. Now, this begs the question, what's the significance of Zelda sending Link back? Does she literally merge the 2 timelines together? Not in my eyes. To me, this simply means that Link cannot use the Master Sword to travel to the future, as she closes the road of time that Link travels on, if she is indeed the Sage of Time as speculated by many of the people on here. This also explains to me, in some degree, how the Master Sword's location is moved in later games without any time travel being involved. So, if this is true, that Link has merely returned to the timeline that he left right before he pulled the Master Sword, then what significance does that hold for Zelda's whereabouts, and more importantly, Ganondorf's? And how does this explain Trueedge's paradox of Link holding the Triforce of Courage in the final cutscene? Well, to start off, let's look at the events that precede the actual opening of the Door of Time. Ganondorf ceases his covert infiltrations into the royal family and does something to send Zelda and Impa away from the castle. What this isn't certain, but it's clear that the commotion has indeed attracted the attention of the guards of the Hyrule Castle, as there's far more of them stationed around the grounds, making entry as Link into the structure impossible. What happened isn't known exactly. Perhaps Ganondorf publicly made an attempt on Princess Zelda's life, or he tried to steal the Ocarina of Time from her, or perhaps he assassinated the king. However, it's clear that something happened to cause much concern and a virtual lockdown of Hyrule Castle. Now what this means is that Ganondorf has 2 options, flee or gain power absolute. Naturally, in the events that happen in the game, he pursues the ladder, and he does eventually obtain it by having Link open the door of time for him. However, remember that he cannot obtain the Triforce yet without Link removing the sword. So, in theory, it would become clear to him after some period of time that Link wasn't going to come back to actually lift the sword up. So, the only other option would be to flee to his desert territory. Enter the cutscene we see midway through Twilight Princess. Since he was so distracted by his quest for power, his trip to the Temple of Time slowed him down, and the 6 sages of the present timeline find and capture him before he can pull a disappearing act. Because remember, the 6 sages from the future had not been awakened because there was no need for them to replace anybody. The sages from the present timeline were still alive and well.